Falsifieder's debut. After doing what I hoped was the final modification to the bottom cowl nose bowl, I reassembled the cowling on the aircraft, removed the silver tape from the fairings, fueled up the airplane, and it was too early to taxi to DCT for the meeting at Chapter 194. So I decided, well, I'll go fly for the first time in the pattern. Unfortunately, the sound didn't record for this, so I ended up making it a time lapse. This is actually my first time in the pattern. This is actually my first time doing pattern work in this aircraft. I just went up for a quick 3, and it was interesting. The airplane's faster than what I'm used to in the pattern. I got used to Bruce's RV-8 in Texas, but this is a different airplane and a different field, so yeah, it was interesting. You can tell it's a little bit bumpy here. And I have not fully perfected landing this aircraft. You'll see that I kind of galloped my way around. Okay, I decided I wasn't happy with that one, so I made it a touch and go. And swung around for another try. My track logs were interesting because there was a lot of traffic this evening, and I was told to extend my downwind on the second and third tries. The second one was quite lengthy. So I'm just waiting for the call to turn base. Okay. Well, that's fine with me because now I'm quite a ways out and I can do something hopefully approximating a stabilized approach, although you wouldn't know it the way I was dancing around there with the clouds. It was a little bit bumpy down low, and that was, again, not the best landing, but it's okay. So let's go around and do one more. That should fill enough time so that I can taxi right to DCT and park in the hangar. It occurred to me that this was the first time I had a bespoke destination in this aircraft. I had landed at other airports, specifically Greenville, but that was kind of a, full stop taxi back. I never shut down, so that didn't really count as a destination. This would be the first time I took this airplane from my hangar and flew it and taxied it to someplace other than the hangar and shut it down and parked it. So I'm way out on a long final this time. But that's cool. I can take my time, kind of wangle my way in. Time lapse makes it seem like I don't know what the heck I'm doing in this airplane. And who knows, maybe I don't, but life is for learning, right? So I decided to taxi long and sat there waiting and relaxing, moving the canopy partially open, taking care of post-flight business, and eventually I'll give ground a call and say, can I go to DCT, please? So yeah, heading to DCT. Meanwhile, the pattern's still buzzing away. If you look there to the left, you'll see my car on November row. Been quite a while since I taxied up to DCT, and all those jet hangars were fairly new. So it was the first time I had that view. And DCT was its usual busy self here. But it was pretty cool to taxi up to this hangar, knowing I was about to put the aircraft on display to the Chapter 194 friends for the first time. This is kind of a big deal for anybody in a chapter. So I got her set up for display. You'll notice the wheel pants are on. That was just to fly it for a couple of times and also to have it on display. They came off the next day. So I bugged out of the meeting early because who needs a VMC IMC club when there's flying to do? I'm still trying to get my 40 hours of phase 1 done. So let's go up and play around a little bit. Maybe catch a beautiful sunset. Again, this is 6 times normal speed, or 600%. I wish I had caught the audio, but I didn't, so there it goes. I also wish I hadn't edited out all this ground prep time, but I was kind of in a hurry lashing this together. I'm doing this voiceover as a one take, and you can probably tell that. One of the things I'm realizing as I'm starting to fly this aircraft more often is I've got to realign my priorities. I've got to let go of all the photo and video stuff the way everybody's been nagging me to do for so long, and concentrate on learning the aircraft and getting through phase 1 checks, because I'm really making a lot of extra work for myself by doing the videos and photos, although you all know I love it. That's one of the things that I do, but I'm learning a lot about flying my own aircraft, and one of them is that I need to reprioritize. I've got several more videos kind of waiting to be produced here, so I'm kind of kicking this out quickly because I flew on the following day and I flew today, and I've got photos and video of all that to manage, and then I'm going to kind of dial way back on the video. Just maybe do pattern work or takeoffs and landings and not do so much on course stuff. So let's head to the north. I don't want to be staring into the sun, but boy, with those cloud layers, it looks like it's going to be a really nice evening. So I cut in and out during this. I did a pretty interesting flight path of just kind of noodling around to the north. A little bumpy underneath the clouds. It's one of the things I'm getting used to is where the turbulent layer starts. One of the things I'm kind of wrestling with during this whole process of getting to know this airplane that I spent 7 years building is I'm a relatively low-time pilot. I've got a few hours over a bunch of years, a lot of, round the patch hops, not a whole lot of cross country, some long layoffs, So for all intents and purposes, I'm a low-time pilot, and I've got a lot of catching up to do. You know, I'm learning my airplane. I'm learning the skies over Michigan, because I learned to fly in California. And when I first moved back to Michigan, it was kind of a revelation not to have the landscape provide an instant bearing fix, you know, because in California you've got mountains all around you. It's pretty easy to tell where you are at a rough glance, and I had to get used to flatland navigation. I had to get used to a lot of things moving back. But now I've got my own airplane to play with. I can start exploring for real, but I gotta get to know her first. Inside and out, up and down. Then I can start to stretch her legs. But it was a beautiful evening to fly. It's actually rained to the southeast, but it didn't bother me any. I included a few still photos that I took with a cell phone. It's one of the things I'm getting used to is, arranging the cockpit so it's flyer friendly. And I sometimes struggle with, phone access for photos, and part of me says, relax, don't worry about that stuff, just fly the airplane. And that's true. Eventually what I'm going to be doing is downloading the flight logs and using the data to, interpret through Cloud Ahoy or something like that, so that I can get a comprehensive picture of all the flight parameters, both visually and with data, so I can know exactly what the airplane was doing, how the engine was feeling, all the parameters. That's another part of the learning curve. I've got to figure out how best to process that data, and eventually that will be my primary log for each flight, and then I'll have the occasional picture and the occasional video, because the data has to be the priority. So coming in on a right base for 27 right, as usual. Let's see what kind of a landing I pull off on this one. Better than some. I'm still galloping them a bit, but I'll get it. Let's head to the barn. Perfect timing. What a beautiful evening that was. This is. Good old impromptu voiceovers. Go through the checklist. And eventually I'll shut it down. Really, I will. There we go. Yep, beautiful night. Let's tuck her away. Ah!